Hi guys, probably Sharp here. So, two knives. The Starmate again? Didn't I just do a review on that thing? Yes, I did. But I just bought the Spyderco Bradley 2, which is discontinued, and it's designed by Gayle Bradley, made in Taiwan. And it has a shockingly similar profile and a liner lock. If you want a Starmate vibe for less money, this might be the closest thing, but you'll have to move fast. Let's compare these two part by part. So first, let's look at the specs. So we have the Starmate here, we have the Bradley 2 here. So they are of similar length, but you can definitely see that the Starmate is a little bit larger, so 22 centimeters, and this one equals about 21.5 centimeters. This one is slightly bigger. Let's weigh them. Oh, let's weigh them. All right. Here we have my trusty scales. Voila. So the Starmate, 4.3 ounces, which is 123 grams. And the Bradley 2, 129 grams and 4.6 ounces. So indeed, the Bradley is slightly heavier than the Starmate. You can of course see that the liners here are a little bit thicker than the liners. You can only see it at the lock here, but of the Starmate. So yeah, there's a difference. There's a difference there. There are other differences. So the Starmate uses a 20 CV premium steel, and the Bradley 2 uses M4. Also very good steel, but not as premium perhaps as 20 CV. So I'll put the makeup of these steels on screen here. You can see that the 20 CV has 20% of chromium. So fully stainless steel, will not rust. And 4S has 1.35 chromium. So definitely not a stainless steel. This will absolutely rust. You will have to take good care of this. You will have to oil this regularly. So how do these steels perform when compared to each other? So M4 on edge retention. M4 has very high edge retention. 20 CV as well, but M4 clearly wins on edge retention. Then on corrosion resistance, as I already mentioned, 20 CV performs excellent and M4 performs 4. It can rust quickly if not oiled and cared for. On toughness, 20 CV has very good toughness. It's balanced toughness. Can be slightly brittle at very high hardness. M4, pretty good toughness for a tool steel, but it has definitely less distributed carbides, slightly bigger carbides. It can make it more prone to microchipping under impact. So definitely on the steel level, this is the 20 CV is the more balanced steel. Ease of sharpening. 20 CV, moderate. It has dense carbides that slow down abrasive removal. And 4 is even harder to sharpen. It has high wear resistance, and that means much more effort. So you need a very strong stone, probably diamond would be best to sharpen this on. 20 CV is easier to sharpen. So other than that, this one is American made. And this Bradley is produced in Taiwan. Now, honestly, and this might offend some people, but of all the Spyderco production sites, I think the Taiwan site has the best build quality. I like them a lot. I trust them 100%. They are very good in what they do. Another big difference. This one is a very expensive knife. It's I think in the United States you can have them for $350 or so, or thereabout. In Europe, you're more likely to pay 400 euros. Big difference there. The Bradley 2 is much less expensive. I think in the United States you can buy it for about $160 at some select sites, and in Europe you can buy it for 200, 220 euros. So there's a big difference in price. Okay, let's take a look at stock thickness here. Check. Hopla. 3.88 millimeters. That is incredibly thick. And then here we see 2.91 millimeters. So you get a lot more steel with the Starmate. Then behind the edge, let's try to do this. Yeah. 77. And the Bradley, yeah, 58. We saw 58 there. All right, so slight lower thickness behind the edge for the Bradley. Definitely an advantage for the Bradley if you compare to sliciness. This might slice much better. It has thinner spine, it has thinner behind the edge. This will slide much better. At the same time, this is a much harder tool. So yeah, this will go through cardboard boxes much more readily than this Starmate. So what about ergonomics and carry? So honestly, when I hold, I like this knife a lot. So I think the ergonomics on this knife are absolutely great. There's no hot spots. It's very well contoured to my hand at least. So I don't know how that translates to other people, but for me, this one does a very good job. Now, this one does, yeah, it also feels great. And here you have slightly better jimping. I think the jimping on the Bradley is a bit diminutive. Yeah, that definitely could have been done better. Yes. Yeah. Then the clips, they're both Spyderco, they're both similar, they're both non-deep carry. I would have liked to have seen deep carry on both knives. Tension, however, is good on both, and they will keep the knife safely in your pocket. Then the balance point. Let's have a look at that. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, nice in the middle for the Starmate. And then for this one, oh yeah, you can already see much more. No. Wow, yeah, okay. So, arguably, I guess the Starmate has the better balance. This is more shifted towards the end of the knife. Also, this is a consequence of having sturdier liners inside, which increases geometry, of course, and that probably, yeah, we'll talk about that later. Lock and detent. Both liner locks, as you can see. This one is perhaps a bit has traveled a bit further along the tang than this one. So this one supports better, will have a longer life. Geometry seems to be fairly good on both. Geometry, a liner lock sturdiness is mainly defined by geometry. That means the liner shouldn't be too much, shouldn't over travel to the other side. The more on this side, the more vertical force it can take. The top of the liner needs to be angled slightly like this. This is the Bradley. So Terzuola in his book recommends a 7% angle. And the liner needs to have a 7% angle as well to fit perfectly on the tank. As you can see, this is quite nicely done. Terzuola also recommends that near the end of the liner, it rounds off to leave some opening. That's done here as well. So it completely follows that design. So here the Starmate, and this is interesting, probably explains the lock stick a bit. You can see that the liner is angled a bit more perpendicular on the tang, and that creates more friction and probably the lock stick. So that it catches nicely on the angled tang, and that way you get less lateral force pushing the liner, less pushing the liner that way, and you have a more secure leg, so the lock will not fail. So if the lock fails, that means that the liner has doubled, bended that way, so that will take an enormous amount of force, and also it will never be a catastrophic failure. It will be gradually. So we can clearly see that that has been done very properly on both knives. I think the angle is a bit better on this one, and of course it's more at the beginning, so this one will be taking more force based on geometry, and this one will be able to take more force simply on the thickness of the liner, but also on the sturdiness of the frame around it. I think that's just better done on this Bradley. Another point to take a look at is that between the tang and the liner, there's much more room here on the Bradley. If you compare it, see that sits much more flush. So that will make the problem of over travel less worse on the Starmate. So it's a bit of a mixed bag here. Now look, that was the lock. Then the detent, unlock the liner, of course. Then the detent, much strong here. I'm getting ahead of myself. So easier. You see, you can open this one much easier than this one. Detent is stronger on this one. That's safer for this one, because that means that it's less likely to open in your pocket, something you absolutely want to avoid. Also, it means that it's a little bit harder to fling this knife open. Action on this one is much better. This has very smooth action. Also, you can just flick this open. It's so smooth, so incredibly smooth. You can do it with this one as well, but it definitely takes much more effort to open it. There's a little bit of lock stick on this one. There is no lock stick on this one at all. If you care about that sort of thing, I do not mind lock stick that much. Lock stick at one hand, it shows that it is definitely a secure connection between the tang and the liner lock surface. But also it probably means it's grinding, both of them are grinding each other away a little bit. So so it might speed up over travel in the end. So another thing to take into account, both of these are, in my opinion, tactical folders. So what does that mean, tactical folder? It's meant to step a little bit, and for example, if you use it for self-defense, it should be very reliable. That means that the liner lock has to be strong. It also means that the blade perhaps is meant for offensive, is ground down for offensive purposes. So tapers to a tip, nice hollow grind. Oh, see, this is much more difficult. Nice hollow grind here. So this one cuts better, so bigger hollow grind, perhaps a bit more tactical. A little bit thicker than this one, so this one definitely will penetrate more easily. But this double grind here is definitely more tactical. This one doesn't have that. But also essential in a tactical folder is the ease of deployment. And in that regard, of course, the Bradley. So in that regard, the Bradley wins easily. It's not because I'm clumsy that it's not true. So this one deploys more difficultly. Then build quality. I think they're very close to each other. They're both properly produced Spydercos. They're both centered nicely. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, nice centering. Have a look at that here. Also nice centering. So no issues there. There are no rough edges. Both are very symmetric and well done. The Bradley liners are less skeletonized than the Starmate, which means that it will. Yeah, I think the Bradley one has higher build quality, slightly higher build quality. Which looks best? Which is the coolest one? I think both of them are quite amazing. So as you can see, they look a lot like each other. They have the same, absolutely the same looks. Of course, at the current time, the Bradley is the one that is most available. This one is very hard to get. This one is the most available, but it's taken out of production. It will not be available for a very, very long time. If you want this experience on a complete budget, I think your best option is to buy this one. There is one other option that I didn't talk about. I don't have that knife, and it's the Fox Knives Original Gangster. That is actually designed by Terzuola. It looks very similar. You can get it in micartas or you can get it in titanium. I think the titanium is the nicest version. If I owned that knife, I would have included it in this review, but I do not. I do mention it. It's also, price point is about the same, is in between those. I think the titanium price point of the micarta is about the same as the Bradley 2. The titanium, which is definitely the version to get, I think, is in between here. It is €280 in Europe. Just to give you a size comparisons, I have here my trusty Spyderco Slim. This is a knife I like a lot. So this knife I'm currently testing as a daily carry. I use it every day, and I will be reviewing it intensely. So just to recap, if you want the looks but not pay the price, you get the Bradley. If you want the real deal, the collectible deal, then you, of course, get the Terzuola. Take into account, this one will disappear. Prices might go up, prices might stay the same on the secondary market, but it will be less available. If you like it, do pick it up. That's also one of the reasons I did this review with it. All right, that's it, guys. Please subscribe. See you guys later.